What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the United Faith channel. We are back here with Justin. He has returned. He has decided to grace us with his knowledge and wisdom for a second episode.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
But we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna kind of recap a little bit of Sunday service, and we're gonna let the Holy Spirit take us wherever it takes us. We both have ideas of notes, and I figured we'll just bounce it off and feed, and it'd be great. So yeah, so it's currently Sunday afternoon, so we had church this Sunday morning, and it was a pretty good message this morning. Powerful message. Very it's, you know, you don't want to use the word emotions with faith, but very definitely pulled emotionally throughout, for sure. Just the subject matter and what Pastor brought, which was a lot of nuanced information that we might not otherwise think about, when it comes to that period of time with Jesus. So, for those of you who didn't watch last week's episode, go back and watch it. We're getting into a series at our church our pastor's doing called It Is Finished, and we're coming up on the season of Passover. Today is technically Palm Sunday. And we're talking about, what happens this week with Jesus. So as we all know, the Resurrection Sunday, or Easter, if you're a heathen or Catholic, you know that Jesus was crucified at the end of this week, and he rests again on Sunday. So the actions leading up to the crucifixion is what today's message was about, but more importantly, it was about the scourging of Jesus and what that means and what that did for us spiritually. And what it means to us even now today in 2025. So I guess we'll just back into some notes and see what we got about it.
If I may say one word that summed up for me,
absolutely,
for today, sobering.
Sobering?
Very.
Yeah. It was very, like, it got to a point in the service where you could feel like the atmosphere just kind of settled.
A good settle.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't
a good settle. Not like
So there's a massive difference between the two. So there wasn't a uncomfort in the spirit, but it's a reminder of what he had gone through, and that's what the whole sobering thing is. Like, we can talk about it. We can create what kind of imagery that we believe may have happened, but as, like, for me personally, I continue to tell myself, we have no idea.
No.
We could not fathom, we couldn't bring any other adjective to what he had gone through for you and me, and for us all together. The prop that Pastor brought up today, what is it?
He called it a scourge. It's called a cat o' nine tails.
Cat o' nine tails.
Is what the legitimate name for it is.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what a cat o' nine tails is, it's a medieval weapon. It's a heavy wooden handle. It consists of, I think, 7 to 9 leather straps with knots and barbs in it, and pretty much what the person does who punishes the person who's receiving the punishment is they tie blades and bones and rocks and glass, anything they think that could tear and rend flesh. They put it in there, and pretty much what happens is it's like a whip, except it's 9 whips with so much more, that comes out of it. So Pastor brought in a replica version, which is a very tame replica version. It was very small, and it had tips, but it didn't have anything in the middle. And
they normally have something in the middle of that.
Oh yeah, no. So the way the scourge works is you have your handle.
Yes.
And it can be either like knife size, sword size. Some people carried whips, and then you have your 7 to 9, whatever they are. That's why it's called a cat o' nine tails, because it's 9 lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Don't quote me on that. If you know why it's called a cat o' nine tails, drop in the comments below. But they take the leather straps, and they'll actually knot stuff into them as they go up. So like pastors had like a tip with like a really rugged, like rusty nail-looking thing on it.
Yes, it's like from the distance that I saw, I did not handle it personally, but from what I saw, there's capped and then these hooks,
Yeah,
just these gnarly fucking
yeah,
hooks on the end of it.
yeah. So but in medieval times, like they would put stuff like every 3 to 4 inches up the leather.
Yeah,
And they could add stuff in and take stuff out as they saw fit. A scourge was personable to the person putting out the punishment. So no two scourges were ever the same. But yeah, no, it was a crazy prop to bring and to show and to like, cause like it's the first time I've ever seen a pastor bring one out in like a service. Like this is what they didn't just beat Jesus with it.
no,
They okay, to get more into the scourge. So when the scourge would hit your skin, the initial whip part, what the wrist snap does is it causes the Dakota Nine Tails to flail out, and then as it comes in, it snaps into the skin.
yeah,
So you're digging as deep into the skin, bone, marrow, whatever you got on it, it digs in. The next thing you do is you do a tearing motion. So the whip goes in like this, but it doesn't come out like that. The tearing motion causes the things to break down. So it literally rends flesh, tears muscle, tendons, bone, sinew, skin, hair, whatever you want. That's what Jesus went through. And he went through that for a long time on that thing. And another important thing to bring up is that pastor, thankfully, he did dove into some really deep research.
yeah,
Understand that it wasn't the Jews who were scourging Jesus. In Jewish law, you can only get 39 because they thought 40 was what killed a man. The Romans didn't believe in that. The Romans believed in making a mockery, making a point, making a statement. So anyone who saw what was going on, they did not want to go through that. And another thing Pastor brought up that was very important is the scourging by the Romans was done in a public forum. Like it wasn't done in behind closed doors. It wasn't done in a court or in like some like enclosed space with a couple of witnesses that could say, yeah, we saw it happen. It was done right out in the open, in the middle of a courtyard. Anyone could come and see. Anyone could come and watch the spectacle of someone getting scourged. So, I mean, Jesus went through all that for us. Like, he went through all of that. And that's the sobering part, is that you have this fictional, watered-down version of what Jesus went through. He got whipped a few times. He had to carry a cross. Yes, he died, but, it was Jesus. But this was a man who felt pain and suffering. He felt emotion. He felt all these things. And throughout this entire process, another important thing to note is that he was silent the whole time. Aside from what you said you have said it, which is pretty much just like you said it. I didn't say that.
yeah.
Other than that, like he was silent. Like he didn't make a single noise during. I mean, he might have grunted or breathed out during the scourge, but he wasn't screaming in pain. He was literally taking it for us, for you. If you're watching, he did it for you. Whether or not you believe it, he did it for you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was the basis of that was the meat of the message. Like, this is what Jesus did for you. This is what your God put himself through so that you could be free, so that you would never have to be scourged.
Like that.
Crazy.
He went into the details of it and just, to even deepen the imagery, they weren't just standing him up.
No, yeah.
They stretched him over a post. Now, if you can imagine your body being stretched over this, now this is all there's no way to, I mean, you're stretched over this thing. You're now in a position where your skin is stretched.
Yep.
At the maximum it can go.
Yep.
His hands and feet are tied together.
Yep.
So he's just bent over this post.
He's also he's butt naked, by the way.
Yeah.
There's no clothes on. Like he's just exposed for the whole world to see. Give me call, man.
If the nakedness, I mean, I think pales in comparison with everything else that happened to him.
Yeah.
And for also, I mean, he wasn't just hit on the back too.
No, yeah.
I mean, they got him in the thighs, and in the
face. Like another thing to note is like
they didn't care.
You can control the direction that it's going. It's going this way, but them 9 things are like pastors was kind of tied together at the bottom, which is how like smaller ones are, but the big ones they were like they flew through
Just
like
fanned out.
yeah. So you could get some hooks in this side, some hooks in this side, some hooks in that side, and then when they pull it, you're still getting raked.
Wow.
Like, have you ever seen The Passion of the Christ? We kind of talked about it a little bit last week,
Yep.
which is, I was like, all right, so we talked about this last week. Okay, we're getting into it. You know, like if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I don't say go watch it just for the sole fact of seeing what Jesus went through. Go watch it just to see what he was willing to do. It's a very it's a very artistic portrayal, but there's a lot of accuracy to, you know, the lineage, the linear storyline of what happened. But look at just go watch that scene.
Yeah.
It's probably not as I'm sure Hollywood up the ante a little bit, but I mean there's a lot.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, but we don't because
Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't do enough.
yeah, that's true. But just go watch it and see just how tore up, you know, they make the actor look.
Yeah.
That's playing Jesus. It's crazy.
It is. That's just one part, I think. And so also we'll backtrack just a smidge, but we talk about Jesus and you know, his shedding of the blood, you know, on the cross, and then on the scourge too.
Yeah.
But let's reference the very first time he ever shed blood in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Tears.
So
and sweat, right?
So let's look at it this way. I mean, we can also we'll go ahead and we'll reference scripture as well, but let's talk about Jesus defeated and overcame all parts. He sacrificed all parts of himself.
Yep.
So when we're talking about the scourging, we're talking about the flesh. When we're talking about the cross, I mean that's the finished work. Then that's where I believe, because at that particular point he had lost so much blood, but by the end of it he was water.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about that part, and that part right there. So blood, life. We're made up of a lot of water too.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So God, it's hard to just think about it. The imagery is just so real to me.
Yeah.
So we have the blood that was during the scourging, then we have the cross, and then we have the Garden of Gethsemane. If I dare say, the Garden of Gethsemane is where he won by the soul. That is where the will has been broken. That is where the will was, and his soul he sacrificed his will to do what for the Father. He sacrificed his will for the Father in the Garden of Gethsemane. And that pressure that was set in that place, that is the first setting of the blood sacrifice. When we battle in the mind, in the soul, and the spirit, when Jesus talks about him overcoming that, I believe that is where he had the victory. Whenever you think that you have lost in your mind, where the battle is lost in your mind, you go back to the Garden of Gethsemane and you see where Jesus got victory there. That is the first part. So Jesus now has victory over the mind and over the will. Okay. Now we have the scourging. This is that part where this is the flesh. This is where we overcome the flesh every single day. He overcame the flesh. He overcame that part.
Yes.
That's and again, like, I think that's because of the imagery there. We understand that one of the things that we battle most every single day is our flesh.
Oh yeah. And
that has got to be, and that was probably the reason why that scourging brings so much like a somber and a sober feeling, is because we battle that every single day. But we pale in comparison to what he had to go through at that moment. That flesh he defeated. And that's hard to grasp.
Yeah.
So we can't say that, oh, it's so hard.
What excuses do we got?
We're so
Right.
hard to bet.
Oh, no.
My flesh, it cries out and it wins every time. I coddle it like a child and a baby, and it's like, no, get over the fact that you think that the battle is tough with your flesh. Jesus went through way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse.
For sure.
And then on the cross.
Yeah.
The water. That's the Spirit. The Spirit. When he gave up that ghost. See, our minds, our will, and our emotions, the other battlefield that we face. I think those are the three primary things. I'm just like, when I got my notes, these are the three primary areas where Christians struggle. He showed us both in our natural and our supernatural eyes that no matter what, I have overcome every single obstacle that you are going to go through. I'm going to go through it for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to set the example. I'm going to set the tone. I'm going to show you that it can be done. I am God, but I am man. And my sacrifice for you is because I love you. And because I want to give you an example to know that you're victorious in every area.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, God gave us the victory over all that is against his will. And by his stripes.
So speaking to your the thing you just said about the water and the Spirit on the cross.
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand that the night before Jesus had to overcome the mind, will, and the emotions of man. So fast forward to when he's carrying the cross up the hill and he's on the cross.
Yep.
People see that as a loss. They see that as he's lost. He's going to his death. But really, if you want to look at the defeat of the mind, will, and emotions of man the night before, the carrying of the cross and the dying on the cross, as much as you might want to see it as death and as loss, whatever, that is the victory. That is the victory of the will of God and the Spirit that he was intending to send to us. Like, that was the victory. Because to have the will to carry that cross for a mile or more, around a mile, I think is the projected distance. He carried that cross for a mile, down the stairs out of Jerusalem, up the hill to Golgotha. Mind you, he's half beaten to death. He's unrecognizable as man.
Yep.
And it's not like he was, dropping the cross every 15 feet. He carried the cross. It didn't say that he dropped the cross and he had to pick it up and he dropped the cross. The Bible is very specific on things that happened. It's very specific on things that took place, especially during this time. You have 4 gospels from 4 different perspectives that paint the bigger picture. And nowhere in that gospel, none of the gospels does it say, and Jesus carried the cross and he dropped it.
Yeah.
And Jesus had to pick the cross back up and had to carry it. He clung to the cross because he knew that he knew the victory was impending.
Yeah.
The end was near, but not the end that the Pharisees were seeing, not the end that the Romans were seeing, not the end that the mockers were seeing. He was seeing the end as his Father saw it. He was seeing the end as the victory that had to happen. The victory that was going to overcome the world was Jesus' faith. Because Jesus had to have faith that God was going to deliver him just as much as any other man does. We talk about Jesus like he's some sort of stoic, statuesque, I am God kind of person. He never carried himself like that. He never treated himself like that. He never asked anyone to treat him like that.
No. I mean, they kept saying he was.
Yeah, even in the midst of his trials, and they said, "Are you God?" He's like, "I mean, you said it. I didn't say it." And he kept silent through the entire thing. But all of a sudden, we see that it wasn't just Jesus as God that was overcoming this. It was Jesus as a man of faith that was walking this out because he sought to do the will of his Father who sent him. Fast forward to 2025, I've never had to carry a cross after being beaten half to death. So what is my excuse that I cannot do the will of the will of my Father who sent me to do what he needed me to do?
Yeah.
Because we're all reflections that pale in comparison to Jesus, but we're all reflections of that faith. We should all be reflections of that God that we serve, just like Jesus was. Jesus was a perfect reflection. We might be a little warped, a little skewed at times, but we still should be trying to cast the most perfect reflection of God that we can.
Yeah.
So we have no excuse after reading this word and going through this this description of what happened and what Jesus was willing to do. Not for himself. Take us out of it. Not even for us. He was willing to do this for the will of his Father who sent him. So when you sit back and you go, oh, Jesus is willing to do that, why are you not willing to do the littlest things? You know what I mean? Like, not to condemn or like I'm speaking to myself just as much as I'm speaking to anyone that's watching this. Like, where's the excuse? What excuse do you have? And I didn't even intend to it's not where I intended to even take that where that was going, but like our pastor is so fond of saying, the excuse you have is the one that you make.
Yep.
And on a night where Jesus had every opportunity to make any excuse he wanted to get out of what he was going through, to call down the angels, he had any excuses to bail out and go, you know what? It's not for me. You all people ain't worth it. You're supposed to be my friends. And like Pastor said, it said all of his disciples left him.
Everyone.
All.
No one was there for him.
They were there at the trial. It says they were there at the trial, but as soon as it got nasty, they were like, nah, I don't want to be a part of this.
Nope.
Except when he sent on the cross, because he looks down and he says, this is your mother.
Yeah.
This is your son. So they bailed out during that point in time where it was the worst for him. Where Jesus stood by them through everything.
Yeah.
Peter's mom being sick, Lazarus, dying and coming back to life. Whatever they went through as disciples, Jesus stood there. He was by them.
Yep.
Through whatever.
Yep.
He was there to encourage them, there to parable to them and help them understand that this isn't the end, that it's going to get better. But where were they to tell him the same thing when he was being whipped and beaten in a public forum?
They couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it. And I don't want to be, like, as great as this possible were, I don't want to be like that. I want to be able to stand in that moment and go, you know what, Jesus, I might not be able to handle what you went through.
Yeah.
And I thank you that I can't, that I don't have to. But God, I can handle standing on faith and proclaiming who you are to whoever. I'm not afraid to proclaim it to my family who don't believe, friends that don't understand, coworkers. Like, we have to get to that point. Like, we have to get to that point so that we can, say at the end of it, not even what we can say, but we get to them, we can hear God say, well done. Well done.
Good and faithful.
Faithful servant. Not well done, good servant. Not okay servant. Well done, good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
Good and faithful. Crazy.
Yeah. It is very much so. And the Gospels that we talk about that reference everything that we're talking about today is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Mark, Luke, and John. Yep.
They all have accounts, which then it also even just brings more credibility to that moment.
Yeah.
And that whole time frame, because they all have different perspective, but they're all accounts of that very moment that happened in history.
Yeah.
That Jesus went through. I mean, the crazy thing is as the week started with him coming in triumphant. Coming in, I mean, it was like, and he knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew exactly what was going to happen already. So, and for the week to start off, Palm Sunday, he comes in, Hosanna, Hosanna. I mean, King, our Lord, and he's coming in, and there's such an acceptance of him coming into the city, and then to finish out, those same people are the ones taking the hairs out of his beard, and spitting on his face and slapping him as he was blindfolded, asking for crucify him. And they were all, and also to learn too, like they were all bought out.
Yeah,
he had there was no means of justifying any of the accusations.
Nope.
There was nothing.
They couldn't find anything. Pilate couldn't. Herod couldn't.
And that is why, and it even says, like, the Pharisees bought out all of those people that
Yep.
accused him. And then, of course, the ultimate was Judas.
Yeah.
Which, another tidbit, which was crazy, the 30 silver.
Yeah.
30 silver back then was, hold on, I know I wrote this down. So 30 pieces of silver, okay, was the same amount in that day and age to redeem a slave.
Or to buy one. Regardless.
Redemption of a slave, either to give or to free.
Yeah.
His transaction was to be bought into slavery, which there was no means for him to be bonded.
No.
There's no means for him to be arrested. There was nothing. He was blameless, spotless, and that is why we're talking about him today. That's why it's so important for us to continue to bring that to the forefront of all of our minds, because this was a man who is God, who had went through everything to make sure that he had a relationship with us at the end of the day. And we don't deserve it.
No.
But we're thankful for it.
Absolutely.
And we are so grateful that he did, because he had shown us the worth, what we talked about before. Yeah. And even like all of the New Testament stuff, you know, you want the divine connections, like, oh, well, that's all New Testament and stuff. Well, I mean, we started off today talking about Isaiah, who, by the way, was a prophet 500 plus years before Jesus.
Yeah.
And here's this man talking to Israel, saying, okay, guess what? We're gonna go to Isaiah. Could we do Isaiah 53?
Yeah.
I think actually we're gonna start on Isaiah 52.
Starting on 52.
Starting on 52.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's the tie-in. You guys think, like, you know, you think God-inspired prophecy is just all made up by man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Proof is now in the pudding when you see it 500 plus years later. Isaiah had no idea who Jesus was, but he understood the word of God up to that particular point, the books that they had in the Jewish synagogues at that time. Pentateuch.
The Pentateuch.
So, and all of the scrolls of the prophets prior to this. Okay. So we're talking Isaiah 52, and we'll go ahead and just start in verse 1, because that's where we were at. And so, awake, awake, clothe yourself in your strength, O Zion. Clothe yourself in your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For the uncircumcised and the unclean will no longer come into you. Shake yourself from the dust. Rise up, O captive Jerusalem. Now, this is Isaiah speaking, okay? Loose yourself from the chains around your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says the Lord, you were sold for nothing, and you will be redeemed without money. For thus says the Lord God, my people went down at the first into Egypt to reside there, when the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what did I have here, declares the Lord, seeing that my people have been taken away without cause. People away without cause, taken away without cause. Lord have mercy. Again, the Lord declares, those who rule over the howl, and my name is continually blasphemed all day long. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore in the day that I am the one who is speaking, here I am. How lovely on the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who announces peace, brings good news of happiness, who announces salvation, and says to Zion, your God reigns. Listen, your watchmen lift up their voices. Parallels, people. They shout joyfully together. For they will see with their own eyes when the Lord restores Zion. Break forth, shout joyfully together. You waste places of Jerusalem, for the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord has bared his holy arm in the sight of all the nations, that all the ends of the earth may see the salvation of our God. Depart, depart, go out from there, touch nothing unclean, go out the midst of her, purify yourselves, you who carry the vessels of the Lord. But you will not go out into haste, nor will you go as fugitives, for the Lord will go before you, and God of Israel will be your rear guard.
Can we just go back to
Yes.
the I think it's verse 3. No, it's the end of verse 2. Shake yourself from the dust, rise up, O captive Jerusalem. Loose yourself from the chains around your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says the Lord, you were sold for nothing, you will be redeemed without money. So let's just go back to the Garden of Gethsemane with the 30 pieces of silver.
Yep.
So everything that God is saying is going to happen to us, we're going to be loosed from the chains. We're going to be not captive. The uncircumcised will no longer come in unto us. We will be sold for nothing, and we will be redeemed without money.
Hallelujah.
Jesus was bought with not bought. Jesus' betrayal was bought for a price, and then, like Pastor kind of revealed, he was led as an animal. And here Isaiah is saying, no longer will these sinful people, will you allow yourselves to be led by these people?
Yep.
But because I'm sending someone for you, I am going to pay the debt that you owe with his life. Like, come on. Like, you can sit here and tell us that we're fake and make believe and we're just following a God because we want to feel good about ourselves, but when our word says this, you show me one more holy book on the planet that speaks to prophecy and speaks to redemption like this, and I will listen. But you cannot tell me that a man 500 years before in a testament that's called old,
yeah,
is telling me that I know what's going to happen. I have word from God that 500 plus years from now, you're going to be made free and paid for by something that you can't possibly give. And and these aren't just words of a man, these are declarations from heaven that he's receiving.
Yes.
It's just,
yeah.
My goodness.
Super,
come on.
Super clear. You can't. All right. Let's dive.
Let's keep going.
So, and I love, so I don't know how some of the Bibles that's get how they're set up. They preface the chapter itself and they give it as somewhat of a title
or like a point.
Yes.
Sometimes the most.
So in 52, we're talking about the cheer for a prostrate Zion.
Can we talk about prostrate for just a second? A prostrate Zion. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Prostrate means kneeling.
Yeah.
A prostrate Zion.
Well, a position of actually submission.
A position of surrender, or submission or surrender.
We can just you talk and I'll check it.
Yeah. The call, the cheer for. Okay. You want to read that? Like
prostrate.
Prostrate.
This is a definition that we just get off of the internet.
Yeah, it's just Google.
Lying stretched out on the ground with one's face downward. You can't get any more submitted than that. So you can't be more vulnerable. You cannot be nothing. There's that position right there, a prostrate position.
So we're cheering for this. Why? Why are we cheering for something that puts us at our weakest Like, we can't defend from a prostrate position. Why? Because God is telling you that though you're prostrate, though you have surrendered and you have submitted to me, you will have victory. You will have freedom. You will have overcoming ability because I have called for it. Because I'm sending a something that will fulfill the word. Like, would you got anything more? Because man, the prostrate Zion.
I don't know if I can.
That's
There's nothing I can add to that. You
Ugh.
can't add anything to that. No way.
What's it-
Nope.
My goodness.
You can't.
My goodness.
This is the title.
Yeah, that's not even the word. That's just like something someone written there. It's like, oh, this makes some sense.
So here we go. Now we're going from a prostrate Zion
I saw
to an exalted servant.
Come on.
Let's read on.
Yeah, let's just
Behold, my servant will prosper. He will be high and lifted up and greatly exalted. Just as many were astonished at you, my people, so his appearance was marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of man. Did Isaiah witness that? I'll answer that.
no.
Thus he will sprinkle many nations. Kings will shut their mouths on account of him. For what had not been told them, they will see. And what they had not heard, they will understand. Pilate, Herod.
Yep.
So Pilate didn't have much of an understanding because he was not the Jewish
Just
culture.
the Roman governor.
So, but what did Pilate, when he was going through as a judge in the court for Jesus, and as accusations came, he marveled.
Yes.
He marveled because in Roman judicial law, okay, Pilate had asked Jesus to defend himself, justify himself. He asked him 3 times. He asked him 3 times to justify himself. And Jesus said not a word. And that is what marveled, because Pilate knew that Jesus was blameless.
Yeah.
Jesus was blameless. Now, then we got Herod. King Herod.
He does know.
He does know.
He does.
He was excited to see Jesus.
Yep.
He wanted to see Jesus. He heard of his coming. And I'm not sure if he heard about, maybe he heard the whole, like, Jesus is coming, and then he was so excited he forgot to hear about, hey, he's also captive.
Yeah.
Maybe he forgot. Maybe he didn't hear that part. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesus is coming. Yes! Jesus, I want to see it. Oh, by the way, he's just, oh, forget it. Don't worry about it. Just let me know when he's coming.
Yeah.
And then he's there. Show me a miracle. Herod asked him, show me a miracle. Show me everything that I've heard that you've done. Show me. I want to see. I want to see it. Herod then, they brought accusation. Herod said, I have nothing to do with them. There's nothing that he has done. I don't know what to tell you guys. He's blameless. He's innocent.
Yeah.
Go back to Pilate. Anyway.
And again, it was more the same with Pilate. He's like, I don't know. And then we get here we full circled it back. Pilate says, all right, we'll chastise him, we'll scourge him.
Yeah. To bring thirst to your bloodlust.
Yeah.
To try to at least kind of give you something to, stop calling this man out.
Yeah. I want to preface something here.
Satisfy.
Yeah, there you go.
Satisfy the bloodlust.
I want to preface something here. I was a mixed martial artist for a part of my young life.
Nice.
I fought semi-professionally, immaturely, and I liked it. Now, it's a bloody sport. It's a lot bloodier back then. There were less rules. I've seen people get their faces cut open. I myself have been gashed open a few times, and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And you get post fight with these people, and you're in there to do a job. You're not in there to hurt any. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to kill anyone. But you're in there to do a job. You're in there to make some money. I was in there to make some money. I put all this money into training. I'm trying to make it back, and with some interest.
Yeah.
I got done with those fights. I didn't look at the guy that I had just fought, possibly bloodied his face. I didn't look at him and go, he deserved more. These Pharisees, so Pilate scourged him. They put the linen robe on his back. They put the crown of thorns on his head. We'll get there. And they bring him back out into the court, and they go, look, I've done this thing. I've punished him. He is punished. And this is a guy that is now unrecognizable.
Yep.
Marred beyond all man.
Which was told by Isaiah
500 years before. And the Pharisees didn't look at him and go, oh, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. No. Then it was beat to the point of death, but they're like, no. We want him dead. That is let's think about that. Like they gained nothing from this. They gained nothing from this. They weren't losing anything by Jesus being there. Jesus was there for our gain. He was there to fulfill something, to provide us with a greater life, to the victory.
Yeah.
All right, so this might sound blasphemous to some people out there. How much more could Jesus have done had he been allowed to continue? How much more could we have seen happen? How much different could the world be? I mean, obviously, Jesus he had a price, he came to do a job.
Yeah.
If you take it from a practical standpoint, this was a guy who was raising the dead, feeding the poor, and bettering everyone's lives around him, casting out demons, teaching others to do the same thing.
Yep.
He did it in 3 years, he changed the world.
Yeah.
If he would have been able to continue doing this ministry, how much greater could this world be right now? Like, look at the state of the world and tell me it wouldn't be better if Jesus was still here putting in work. But they saw what they perceived as a threat to their power, to their ability to control, manipulate, and mock the world that they were living in.
Yep.
Using religion. This is why we hate religion. This is why we don't call me religious, because I'll put you down in the very moment I'm not religious. But for a personal gain, for a personal outing, it didn't actually benefit them.
No.
All it did was satisfy a prophecy from 500 years ago that they should have known, that they should have seen, that they should have studied. Like, what are we doing here? And then to fast forward, how can you not parallel what they did to Jesus to what they did to the church in 2020? Like, how can you not parallel the fact that they were trying to shut up the good churches?
Yeah.
Not the churches that are on government grants or on government funding.
Yeah.
The good churches, the 1095s, the non-profit churches that were actually doing stuff. They weren't trying to shut up the churches they were controlling. They were trying to shut up the churches that they weren't controlling. And they were 2/3 successful on the whole planet.
Yeah.
Shut so many churches down.
That's a wild parallel. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it coming either. It's just, but
that's thought provoking, 100%. But
but religion is the controlling thing. God is a freeing thing. Jesus was here for freedom, not for control.
Correct. Liberty.
Yeah. What is like one of the first words in this country's constitution?
Uh-oh.
You are man, help me out here. I think that I've lost it.
It's okay.
All men are made with certain unalienable rights, which include the pursuit of life, liberty, which include the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, correct? Yeah.
Yep. We, the people of the United States, in the order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, providing the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of the liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. All legislative, yeah. Article 1, Section 1, Congress.
That's not.
Nope.
Oh, Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence. Sorry. I'm sorry. That was on me. That was on me. So I got a lot of stuff floating around my head right now. It's just, yeah. I'm on like spiritual overload. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, which among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's the one thing they tried to shut down whenever they crucified Jesus. That life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, because they tried to kill essentially America before it was even a thing. They tried to kill free speech. They tried to kill everything.
Yeah.
Before it could even take off. But God had a greater plan. Thank you for that. You had a greater plan that, regardless, Jesus was there to fulfill prophecy from 500 years ago. That he was there to ensure the state of life 2,000 years after that
and beyond.
It's
beyond this point.
It's just
his word is everlasting. It's gonna outlast.
Oh man,
it's gonna outlast.
Such a good. Oh man. Yeah, but the exalted servant. That's what, man. We didn't even get to the. Oh,
it's 53 yet?
Yeah, we didn't get to 53.
That's. Well, we don't even have to get into all of 53.
No.
Can I continue?
Yeah, go ahead, 53. Man. Yeah, continue. Continue on. We continue as long as we're able.
So back into Isaiah 53. Now we go from prostrated Zion to an exalted servant to now we are the suffering servant.
Oh, that verse 1's gonna. Oh, that verse 1 kills. That's a good verse.
Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of the parched ground. He has no stately form or majesty that he should look upon him, nor appearance that we should be attracted to him. He was despised and forsaken of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and like one from whom men hid their face. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely our griefs he himself bore, and our sorrows he carried. Yet we ourselves esteemed him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was pierced through for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastening for our well-being fell upon him, and by his scourging we are healed. Pastor finished out on verse 5.
Yeah.
By his scourging. Man, there's that sobering feeling again, man.
Yeah, man. No, it's like it's something. It's not like it's in a way. It's like I'm proud that I can feel it, but I feel so terrible that I don't have to. It's like I can feel the weight and the heaviness of what he did for me, but it's like, man, I really wish I didn't have to feel that weight and heaviness. Like I'm proud that I'm able to, I'm not like one of those people that's like, oh, well, Jesus died. It's like, oh man, Jesus didn't die.
It wasn't just a death.
Yeah.
There's multiple levels to that.
Oh, yeah.
Death.
Oh, sure.
There's multiple levels to that. And I kind of touched base on that in the very beginning. When you talk about, dying to everything, he died to the spirit. He died. How do I put this? In every way that you can perish, he did. He subjected himself to all that he went through and was scourged, he was beaten, he was bruised, he was mocked, he was, pulling on of the beard. I don't know why that keeps ringing true to me, but that's just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
That's a very personal. I mean, you can take the scourging and stuff all you want. Like I get that. Like that is crazy itself. But
that is a corporal punishment. It's not personal. It's just them doing their jobs.
Now it's personal.
But now you've made it personal
you're slapping his face. You're spitting in his face. You're pulling. You are ripping. Now. Oh my gosh.
What do you got?
Now there's that personal touch.
Yeah.
Because the scourging, that's a weapon.
Yeah.
That's something that's not. But now he's not just going through a pain of a weapon, but how personal can you get when you're actually touching someone's face? You're not doing it in an affectionate way. Now you are now physically, you are now doing further damage to him in a very personal way.
Yeah.
Forget that he was naked. Forget that he had these lashes all over his body. Okay. Never forget that part.
Yeah.
But let's put this into another perspective. They didn't just stop there.
Yeah.
Now that is just complete and utter personal humiliation
And disrespect.
Deep
level of disrespect.
Very. Because they held what they did on their face like in high regard.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. And I mean, Jesus probably didn't care much.
No. I mean, but he was raised Jewish. He was raised according to Jewish tradition at first.
But they understood Jewish tradition and law.
Yes.
So what more, or how could they bring more pain and more affliction? But, oh yeah, hey, guess what? They could have, I mean, why didn't they tug his ear off? Like, why didn't they do something else? No, the beard part it's personal. Now we have a personal attack. You're really physically laying your hands on him now and just ripping.
So to preface, you might think this is just a beautiful, beautiful mane of hair on my face.
True.
The Jewish tradition, a man's beard not only represents creation of the world being divinely inspired by the Holy One, it is also symbolization of God's mercy.
They're pulling mercy from his face.
Mercy from his face.
That's why I wondered why that.
Just absolutely just.
Well, and see, this is what's so great and so cool about God. He doesn't put something in this. He doesn't. What I hold in my hand is an account of things that had happened. This is God-inspired words along with physical accounts.
Yep.
That has happened in the past.
Yep.
So, and this book was not put together lightly.
No.
There were many that had gone through and made sure that this was, in effect, the truth, the will of God, the spoken, breathed life, inspired to man. God doesn't put something in this book that doesn't have a meaning to it.
This should be taught in history class.
It was.
This should still be taught. I learned this in my history class when I was in 10th, like 7th or 8th grade. I was still learning about Jesus in history class.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But this should get its own section. This should be its own class.
Yeah.
Why are we not teaching this to this history? This is written account of history.
Yeah.
You can plug so many pieces of history in between the words of the Bible.
Yeah.
This should be something that you are teaching in your schools. This should be public education.
Yeah.
101.
I mean, they have more accounts of Jesus being alive on the earth than they do Aristotle, than they do of Caesar Iscariot. Was it Caesar? Caesar
Yeah.
Iscariot?
Caesar
Augustus? Caesar Augustus? I mean,
Judas Iscariot.
oh, my bad. But I mean, it's
No, like he's the most talked about man on the planet.
yeah.
And we have so much written account, so much like actual evidence we have more evidence he existed than we have that he didn't.
Yep.
At this point.
Yep. I want to say there's an astronomical amount of accounts. I think it's well into there's 3,000 plus, eyewitnesses,
Yeah.
written down text, just things that are just culminating in from different perspectives and
Yeah.
from different views.
Yeah.
Like, the Gospels from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were just some of the very personal accounts.
Yeah, very personal accounts.
But they were also just kind of solidified by other accounts that were also made by many people that were also there at that time. You have more eyewitness accounts for these events in here than you do have in many other events in the entire world, because it made such a mark. It was such a profound time for people that they had they couldn't not stop talking about it. They couldn't do it. They had to take an account. They had to take it into, they had to write it down. They had to remember these moments.
John 21:25. Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have room for the books that would be written.
True.
So we know this many accounts.
Right.
Literally saying there are countless accounts
Many.
of Jesus. They just weren't written down, or the books were lost. But even today, you hear all these people having these personal accounts with Jesus, seeing, having that experience where they see Jesus, or that personal, overwhelming, hearing the God speak out loud audibly. It's like,
oh yes,
you can't deny, like, all right, so the Pharisees were able to pay off a decorum of people.
Yeah.
Decorum.
Nice word.
A couple hundred, maybe a few thousand.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that somehow the Christians, self-proclaimed Christians, 2.1 billion, by the way, it's like a third of people on the planet claim to know Christians, but you're telling me that somehow there's enough to pay them off that they're not talking about Jesus. If you're a religious person or you're a Christian and you don't talk about Jesus, you need to rethink just why you aren't talking about Jesus.
What are you trying to hide?
What are you hiding? Who's telling you shouldn't talk about it? Because if they're telling you shouldn't talk about it, well, the last guys that say you shouldn't talk about Jesus, they didn't try. They killed Jesus.
Yeah.
And all those people that took that money, who said, we will take the curse on us and our children.
That's crazy. That's absolute insanity to talk.
I was sitting there and said that, and I think I said it. I was like, I was like, nope. I said it. I don't know if people heard it, but I was like, nope.
I think I did.
I was like, me, no sir.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Oh,
you say something like that?
Questions that we'll never know the answers to. I don't think.
Well,
I mean, we know we can derive some form of activity about why, but
demonically inspired.
To be inside the mind of a person to allow that, like, and I'm not a great person. I'm a great person now. I was not a great person when I was younger.
Yeah.
But even in all of my heathenistic attitude, my actions, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that there was a God and that He was judging me. I might not have cared in the moment, but I knew. I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, this is not good, but I'm still gonna do it. I'm still having fun, but to have people, and mind you, this is post scourge, so he's scourged, he's bleeding to death in front of them,
yeah.
And they're going, no, let the blood be on us and our generations. Like,
What are you talking about?
what are we doing?
No, not we. Them.
I mean, yeah, what? I mean,
I don't want to be a part of any of that.
we as a human, human
Yes.
species, are we our brother's keeper? Absolutely, you are your brother's keeper. We should be out there telling our brothers about Jesus, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you find yourself. Doesn't matter what, what the complications or implications might be. Yes, we are brother's keepers. So what are we as humans, and what were they as a people, as a religious, devoted Jewish people who followed the one true God that they so claim?
Mm-hmm.
What were they doing? They never treated any high priest like this. But Jesus comes on the scene and goes, no, I'm just fulfilling prophecies, which is what we're all, which is what he called us to do.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, go do great works and greater works. Fulfill the prophecies that have your name beside them. But you don't judge any high priest up to this point like this.
No.
Or at least the Jews did. Obviously, there were other civilizations that killed the prophets and had them murdered. But now you get a man who is proclaiming God. Mind you, he wasn't saying he was God at this point.
No.
He hadn't declared that he was God.
They were proclaiming.
They were proclaiming he was God. They were right. They were just too blinded by their own I don't want to say inhibitions because it wasn't inhibitions. They were too blinded by their own the word escapes my brain. By their own wants, by their own desires, that they couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Their own aspirations of what they wanted to be.
Yeah.
That they couldn't see it. They knew it. They were proclaiming it by their mouths. But even Ananias, the high priest, could one man die that all should be saved? Prophesying that you're prophesying what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just were too blinded by your own greed, by your own own wants to see it. But look at the world now. We're doing the same stuff. I mean, we're not. Obviously, we know the truth, but the world is lying to itself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but I could throw a football down center of Harrisburg, and there's a church that's talking about Jesus. They're all lying to themselves in some way, shape, or form because they're not living the way they're supposed to. I'm not going to say they are, but I'm not going to say they're not.
Yeah.
Because currently, Harrisburg is a very dark place. Maybe your city is the same. Maybe your town's the same. But why? If there's churches, shouldn't there be light being cast?
Absolutely.
Not shadows.
Yeah.
So again, I'll ask the people watching, what are we as a people doing? Are we sit there and say, I can sit there and say, I would never do that. I would never say that. I would never would. But those guys did. Those people did. The same people, to draw back. The same people that are saying crucify him a week earlier were going, Hosanna.
Yep.
Come in. It's just fantastic. Come in like a conquering king. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did conquer.
He did.
But not in the way they thought he was going to. Yeah. And he kind of made everyone, without calling out, he kind of called out that wickedness and that unrighteousness and that religion by what he went through. Like, all right, I'm dying for what? I'm dying for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm dying for you. But what am I dying for? I've done nothing wrong. Pilate can't find anything wrong with me. Herod can't find anything wrong with me. But my own people are calling for me to be killed, trying to silence the movement of the Holy Spirit, which is what this was. It was a movement of the Holy Spirit. And here we are, 225, and what are all the pastors saying? There's a move in the Holy Spirit going out in all the world right now. I mean, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Oh, God is so good.
He is.
God is so good, man.
It's just a lot to take in.
It really is.
I mean, we've gone over these passages. We have talked about these events for many, many years, and I still I still find something in every single one of these biblical truths that just give me just a more of a justification as to why I
Yes.
believe
Yes.
in him and what he did. Because we can go through these scriptures, this life, this word, this breath of God, this ruach, and we can relive the accounts. We can just within our own minds, within
Yeah.
the scope of how we can even comprehend it.
Within our ability to comprehend.
And at the end of the day, you realize, man, he saved me.
Yeah.
He did this all for me. And every single time I open this account, this real life event,
Yeah.
I get so much more from it every time.
Yeah.
I mean, I encourage you guys, like when you are when you're going and you're reading and you're getting into the word, don't just take it off of surface level.
No.
I love the fact that when we're going through our forge, when we're doing our men's forge, we have these Bible readings, which I need to do today. We have these readings that we go over. You can call them devotionals. However, I mean that's the common phrase, but people can so people can understand. But when you read the word, read it for the first time just to get familiar with it, understand. Read it another time. Really start dissecting it. Third way through, make it personal.
Yes.
And understand that everything that he did and everything that is in this book is for your benefit, is for you to find victory in every single battle that you're going to face. God is so good. I mean, it really, today, there are some things that, that really hit home for me and things that I know that never really kind of just made more sense, or kind of had more of a realization. Like I knew about the scourging, I knew about all that. When we saw that weapon today, that brought a whole different just perspective.
Yeah.
And it just kind of brought it more home. I didn't slump in my chair out of pity for him. I slumped in my chair today for the sole fact that I felt a weight that I could never ever take off of me. I couldn't do it myself. And he did it for me. And it just gives you an appreciation of everything that he's done and will continue to do throughout our lives.
Absolutely.
And will continue to do as we are led by the Spirit of God, as we continue to crucify our flesh every single day. I'm telling you, I'm thinking about taking a scourge to my flesh every single day. I don't know if that sounds blasphemous in any way, shape, or form, but I think that's how we should approach each and every single day of our lives. We are in a battle. We are victorious. We need to understand that there is an enemy that is coming after us every single day, bombarding not just us, but our children and our generation and our communities, that we need to set aside our wants and our needs and our fleshly desires to be able to be an impact in a community that needs it more than we do.
Yes.
We benefit from him. We then make sure that the community at large will benefit.
Yes.
Because we are led by the Spirit of God. And through that scourging that we need to continue to do every single day, we need to scourge our flesh. We need to beat down every single thought, take it captive, and rein it in, and ensure that it is of the will of God and that it is Spirit inspired, Holy Spirit inspired.
Yes.
Because that is what needs to be subject. We need to subject our flesh and our spirits to Him. As we are spirit-led beings, we are led by His Spirit. And the only way we do that is through this word,
Yep.
through the will of God every single day. And we can take as many notes as we can, which is wonderful and beautiful.
Yep.
And I want to know more. I want to dig deep into this every single time that I read into it, because yeah, I can't wait for next week.
No, I'm excited.
I can't wait to see.
It sounds weird to say I'm excited to learn about the crucifixion of Jesus, but like I'm excited to awaken to this spiritual stuff.
You want to know why it's not? To not want to know what that looked like? Because we know the end result.
Yeah, it's true.
The end result of it all is he went to hell in the grave. He defeated the grave, went to hell, took the keys, dominion
Yep.
over what is ailing us every single day. Stormed the gates, took that dominion, and now is in heaven as the sacrificial lamb, has given us the reconnect, got the reset to be able to connect with our God and our King of the universe.
It's gonna be awesome. It is awesome.
It is very awesome. Every single day, it's awesome. And this is why I can go through all of my daily routines. I can face whatever I'm facing. I can come back to this here. And I can even talk about some of the most just unfathomable things that had occurred and had been done to this man. But then, no, man, he won.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
Undefeated.
Yeah, he's only got 25 letters in his alphabet. He ain't taking no L.
Oh no.
Not taking any L's with him.
Oh.
No. All of the rest. Golly. I mean, do you have any other notes from today? Like,
I didn't even touch my notes for the day, man. I'm just flowing off of where we started from.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit off we touched a little bit on the silver and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, whatever notes you got, because we are left fielded off. Well, my notes are just just hucked it into the ether.
Like a part of me, and I think a part of me even wants to there's one thing that keeps stirring up in my spirit, but I think it would be best after, if possible, next week. And I'll tell you off.
Okay.
Off camera, but it's like
We'll have to make time next week, because next week Sunday's not going to happen because it's Resurrection Sunday.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are coming up to one of the greatest events in history.
The greatest event.
The
greatest event.
I apologize.
Yeah.
The greatest event.
Come on, put some respect on his name, man.
The greatest event that happened on the face of the universe.
Yeah.
You the scope and the breadth, you can't measure the length. It's immeasurable.
Yeah, it's immeasurable.
It's immeasurable. And I'm so encouraged. I'm very encouraged every single time. Every time you open up the word, you guys should be encouraged.
Absolutely.
Every time.
That's just, man. I mean, even if you flip the Numbers or Leviticus, like, you know what can be encouraged by Numbers and Leviticus? You don't have to go through that.
Yeah.
All those rules, all those laws, all those things that you think are so boring and so unnecessary and so tedious and honestly, they're not very fun to read about. Like there's a lot of negative, a lot of feedback in Leviticus because of all the things that happen in it. But guess what? Jesus fulfilled all that for you as well.
Yeah. Yep.
You'll never have to be cast out of the camp. You'll never have to be. Never have to spend 7 days and hope that the priest sees what he sees and says you're clean. Because Jesus came as the high priest and said, "Because I have done it, you are clean."
Yep.
Like, just be encouraged in the Word. Like, I'm not even saying read it front to back. Pick a book. Read it.
Please do though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Please do.
Read it front to back. Whatever. There's look up the actual how to read it in row, because there's a lot of books that are kind of, especially the Old Testament, are kind of like out of order. But
oh, you mean doing it
like chronologically, like
chronologically?
Because that's an interesting way to read the book as well.
Yeah.
But like, just open the Bible and just read it. Start in Genesis, read through Revelation. You're gonna have ups and downs, highs and lows of like, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this.
But what does that matter if you like it or not?
Yeah, exactly.
How
about you take it in a mindset of God did this.
Yeah.
God completed this. God overcame this. It's just a good book. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good history lesson. It's a good factual representation of what happened. It's a good, overwhelming subduing of your flesh and like causing of spiritual growth. Just to know the book, just so you can read through it and like know it. Like, and if you're one of those people that says, "Oh, I don't believe in it," like, read it. Because you know how many atheists didn't believe in God and they read the Bible and like, "Oh crap, yeah, all right, messed up, my bad. I'm gonna fix this now." And it's true. Any like, most of the popular atheists from back in the day that people quote, to back up their atheism, if you go back and look, they all transitioned to Christianity at one point or another. It's like, okay, well, if God can change the minds of someone who doesn't believe for that long, then maybe He can work on you too. Open your mind up to a possibility that this is not the end, that your life isn't just a 24/7 grind, living paycheck to paycheck or whatever it is, because it's not. It's so much greater. If you can get between the lines of society and get into the Word of God and let Him expand your general understanding of what life should be and not what life is, it'll change your whole perspective of the day. That crappy job, it's like, all right, so all right, I don't like my job, but Jesus, my job, you're able to see things for more than they are.
Yeah.
You're able to find peace and joy where, let's face it, I work in an office building where people who have been there for 25 years, they're grumpier than all get out. They make you not want to be there for 25 years. Yeah. And it can affect my mood because I see them being negative. But then I remember that I have the joy of the Lord, that I have the peace of His gospel.
Yes.
And then I'm happy. And people don't understand why I'm so happy. And it's because God. It's always because God. God is my wife can make me happy. My brothers can make me happy. My kids can make me happy. But the happiness that I get from knowing that I serve a God who is willing to go through all of this for me. I haven't even gotten to the punchline yet. You're going through all of this for me. The joy that I feel, it's overwhelming. It's overcoming. It's not possible for that joy to be overwhelmed by anything in this world. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a great principle that I've only just been learning since like last October, when I was seeking the joy of the Lord in every moment of my life. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy sometimes to find the joy of the Lord, but I tell you what, when you're in those dark moments and you're like, man, it sucks, my job sucks, my days sucks, whoever's making me angry, whatever. But in that I don't want to say dark, but in that hard moment, when you can find a way to put the joy of the Lord in there, it's just like it's a,
Dissipates. Everything
it's yeah,
disappears.
it's like, oh man, what am I so mad about? Like, this is fantastic.
You can't be. You can't be mad anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Jesus willfully gave his life. Why can I not joyfully live mine
Through him.
through him
Yeah.
in all situations and circumstances? Just a good time. Just a good word. Just a good God we serve, you know?
Wonderful. Beautiful counselor.
Yes.
Adonai Yahweh.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could just sing on the rooftops.
Yeah.
Could all day long.
Ah. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. I guess we kind of have to finish up, huh? You got to get ready to
I do.
give to this new job. Next job. Next job.
Proclaim
I
the
mean,
new.
but hey,
Oh, I love that.
hey, give us a new job, sir.
Prophesy. Yes, Lord.
Oh.
Prophet.
Oh man. Hey. The Lord is here.
Always.
Always. Man, it feels kind of weird to close out in such as close out the video. These videos, just let me personally rant here for just give me 2 minutes. All right, so let me just give me 2 minutes to rant and I'll close out. I haven't got to do the podcasting format since Cody took his leave to get married. I'm not judging him for that. I love him. I'm happy he's happy.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't got to sit back and do the podcasting format. And I forgot how much I enjoy the conversation, the bouncing it off, because I can sit in my basement and do cool videos and do things with myself all the day long. But where two or more are gathered together, there he is in the midst.
Agreeing.
In agreement, and it's of like-minded faith. So, I mean, whether or not this sees 1 million people or 1 million people watch this or it does anything great, it doesn't matter, because this is what this is the kingdom. This is kingdom operation. So I'm just happy that I'm able to do this. I'm happy that people are finding enjoyment in watching it. I'm happy that you've taken the time out of your day from your beautiful family to sit here and talk about the things of the Lord. I enjoy this so much, and I'm just thankful that almost 2 years ago, God talked to me on the altar of our church and gave me something to do and opened my mind to an idea and a possibility of something that I never would have done myself. 34-year-old man saying, I want to start a podcast about Jesus is ridiculous. But because it's God, it goes from ridiculous to remarkable. I'm just happy that I get to do this with you, with anyone that I sit down with. If Cody comes back, Nick, Pastor, anyone I sit down with, it's gonna be more of the same. And it's more of a thank you to you for sitting in, or anyone who wants to sit in. Thankful to you guys for watching. I'm just chuffed to the gills with being able to do this and having brothers that walk the same walk and have knowledge and wisdom, and I can just flow with. It's just awesome to have.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you too, man.
Yeah.
I think there aren't many people that I would, sit here and speak my mind with.
Yeah.
And be able to share and my heart out there too. As much as you find this to be a sacrifice on my part, I think, you're the inspiration here. This is something that, you are stepping out in faith. You're listening and hearkening to his word, their shepherd, our good shepherd.
Yeah.
And you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your your beautiful family time as well,
Yeah.
which he does spend time with his family.
I do.
It's just, it's awesome to be able to share that space with you.
Yep.
Um, I'm just very grateful of you.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful of our friendship and our bond. It's not many people get to share something like that
Yeah.
with people, with others.
Absolutely.
So I'm very honored always to be able to share not just the gospel of Jesus, which is the most important thing,
Yes.
and to, proclaim his word and proclaim his name. As I decrease, that he is to increase.
Yeah.
To share this space with my brother in Christ, to share this space with my brother and my friend, a confidant, somebody that I can confide in, someone that I can, talk to. Um, I'm a blessed man. And I'm not just talking just like, you say, oh, this is such a great office.
It is a great office.
But this, give me the filthy rags. I don't care. I don't care. I'll wear all of it. I won't even live in a house.
Yeah.
The value that I get from the relationships that I have right now is worth more than anything.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
My relationship with Christ, my relationship with you, with my family. I mean, let's break it down. Like, people don't do it just for monetary things.
No.
Find value in everything every
Mm-hmm.
connection that you get, every connection that you have. If someone can bring value to your life, I'm really hoping that you can bring value to them. And that's what I hope I do for
Yep.
you. I hope I bring value
Yeah.
to you
Absolutely.
and into this format. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yep. So that's what we got for you guys. That's what we have for you for today, guys. I mean, we could probably talk about this for hours and hours and hours. We'd probably have to be drugged out of here by our wits. If and by wits I mean our wives. If we really wanted to, we probably could sit here for a long time. But
Absolutely.
what alas, life calls. Maybe in the future.
Oh, I think it'll happen for sure.
Maybe in the future we're
It's fun stuff that we could do, like
oh yeah.
plans.
Yeah, we got plans. We got plans, guys. We got
Man.
plans. But if you've made it this far, drop a hashtag remarkable.
Sweet.
Hashtag remarkable. If you made it this far. Just so I know that you've watched it this far. And yeah. Hopefully you guys liked the video. Hit the like button if you did. Just hit the unlike button. I could care less. But drop a comment down below. I mean, let me know. I mean, if you don't like it, what didn't you like about it? Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Like, that's the whole point. The whole point is to have a conversation, not just with people that are on the channel, but with you guys. Like, let's build a community of faith on an otherwise dark and oftentimes seen as evil platform.
Yeah.
Like, let's put faith on the front page of YouTube. And subscribe if you're new. And if you're not new and you've been here from the beginning, I appreciate you so much for sticking around. It's so awesome.
You're welcome.
And hit the notification bell to stay up to date with future post notifications. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Love y'all.